Hello, hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
I hear you.
All right. I'm ready when y'all are.
All right. I'm just waiting for my soundboard to load up.
Let me ask you something. When you come in on Monday and you're not feeling real well, does anyone ever say to you, sounds like someone has a case of the Mondays?
No. No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Hi, this is Alan. I like IRONWORX because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love IRONWORX with Josh, Walt, and Zack. It's like sitting in your front room having a cozy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that IRONWORX with Josh, Walt, and Zack, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the IRONWORX.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Ironrealmmedia is the best on the plane. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to Space Lettuce from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the IRONWORX with Zack, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the IRONWORX and become an Iron Scout.
Wake up, wake up, wake up!
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful day.
Good morning. Here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Everything, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school. Yeah.
Dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe that dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. So what? There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard.
And a TGIM. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the IRONWORX, where I am dragging my butt out of bed, but I'm here. Good morning, gentlemen. How is your respective weekend?
Morning, Josh. Morning, everybody.
Morning, Nuka.
I mean, afternoon, sorry.
Oh, we haven't even breached the sun yet.
Nope. Big shout out to all you folks there in chat. I see y'all rolling in. King Shin. Appreciate it for the fog video. That was a couple weeks ago. No fog this weekend. Couldn't get one. Sorry. But it was a nice, quiet, relaxing weekend down at my dad's. Just me and the dog. Then my son showed up on Saturday with his girlfriend, and we just chilled out. Nice, quiet, relaxing weekend. Yeah. Trying to prioritize that shit. How about you, Zach? How was your weekend?
Not bad. I went and took that test.
Yeah, how'd that go?
That was easy. I aced it.
Nice.
I got $1.50 raise.
Oh, that's fucking nice.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. So that was nice.
How about you, Walter? How was your weekend?
Good. Uneventful. Absolutely stayed home, or I stayed home, and got some more recuperative sleep. And caught up on some stuff here in the house that had kind of gotten out of hand, just, dealing with all we've been dealing with the last few months. So she did head to Lafayette, and they did a few things that needed doing, but I opted to progress, which is what I needed. We're headed back into actual winter time now, and from what I'm seeing, possibly it's for real this time. As real as it gets here, anyway.
Shit. Yeah, looks like it's supposed to get a little chilly around here, too. Looks like come Wednesday, we're going to be, high today is 57. Tomorrow is 64. Then it says Wednesday it's supposed to plummet. Yeah, then it gets down to 18 overnight.
Yeah, well, like I said, as real as it gets here. Sorry, y'all are dealing with that.
10 degrees on Saturday.
It'll be 40s or so right now. What is it? 42 to head down to 39. And then we'll be back up in 55 today. But overall, it's definitely cooler now because, I've still been wearing shorts and going to the gym and swimming because it's, 80 and stuff outside in the daytime. So that is over for now. Winter is here in South Louisiana officially. I think the high next week at some point will be around 67, somewhere on a Wednesday or a Thursday or something like that.
High of 48 today. High of 35 Thursday.
Is this degrees Celsius?
No, this is Fahrenheit.
What is that?
Yeah, my 32 would be, I think, 1 Celsius. That's my high for Thursday, Nuka. 1 degree Celsius.
Oh, well, sounds like you guys had decent weekends.
And how was yours, good friend? Oh, Lord.
Yeah. That bad. I'm having big arguments with all of my uncles and extended family over a family issue, which, I can try to explain it to you. You can give me your opinion on the thing. I have a cousin who was engaged to be married. And in our culture, when you're engaged to be married, they have to pay a bride price. We call it lobola. So basically, the guy's family needs to come to our family. They agree on a certain price. He doesn't have to pay the whole thing immediately. He just has to pay a portion of it and then carry on as time goes by to finish paying for the bride price, right? So the guy had done this. Time goes on. Their relationship is a little bit wonky because he works on these ships, these maritime ships, as a chef. So half the time he's at home, half the time he isn't. And I guess the guy cheated, and my cousin caught him. The relationship fell apart, and they separated, but they didn't separate in the eyes of the law, because our laws constitute that in African indigenous law, once somebody starts paying for the bride price, doesn't matter how much it is, the fact that they've started paying for it, it means you guys are legally married. And also, in the eyes of our ancestors, whenever you are legally married, the guy's ancestors have been introduced to her, So they know her as umakoti, or, wife to be. The relationship breaks apart and she goes on with her life. She's met another guy now who's made her pregnant. I like the guy. I've met the guy too. So he has to go now pay for the child, because again, everything in African culture seems to be about money. So because they're not married, he has to go pay now for the child to our family. But I asked a very important questions to all of my uncles and my aunts and my extended family. What happens to the other guy that is supposedly legally married to this girl that is now pregnant outside of wedlock? Because it is not only, look, I don't care what she does. It's her life. She can do whatever she wants. But the problem is that she has our family name. And that is very important in African culture, because if you are a harlot, and I mean, you go and get pregnant outside of like marriage and stuff like that, it travels around the community, and basically your surname is sullied. And not even our immediate family, but somebody else who's totally unrelated to us. The fact that they carry the same surname, it's also going to be a problem. So I had a meeting with them to sort of fix this thing, because I did study law, and in African indigenous culture, we're supposed to give back at least one of the cows, because you pay your lobola in cows, or sometimes in cash if you want. We're supposed to give back one of the cows to basically annul the supposed marriage, so she is free to carry on with her life. Now, if you look at the books that govern all of this crap, if the guy is in the wrong, you don't have to pay back anything. But if the woman is in the wrong, you're supposed to return everything. But if they both agree that this whole thing is over, you're supposed to bring back one cow, and the whole thing is annulled. So we're at the point where it looks like her mother, the girl's mother, has used up the money that was paid. So now we can't actually return the money. And she went and had a meeting by herself with the former fiance. And the fiance said, no, it's fine. They don't have to pay back the money because it's not going to do him any good. The relationship is over. So it's fine. However, he says it's fine, but he doesn't know all of the facts, because my aunt, my cousin's mother, didn't give him all of the facts that this girl is pregnant now. He might not feel so magnanimous once he finds out the girl is pregnant. And it's just a whole bunch of crap that I had to deal with the uncles and everybody, and what the right thing to do is. And I strongly feel that we should tell these people everything, lay it on the ground, and just go and apologize to the family and give back their damn money so she can move on with her life, and our name is not sullied. But they being greedy and doing all these back deals and shit is pissing me off.
They want to keep that cow, huh?
No, it's ridiculous. It's all short-term game, but they're not thinking about the long term. And I said this to all of my uncles too. I said, all of you fuckers are gonna die. We're the ones, the younger ones, that are supposed to carry this name. Now, our name is going to be known as, oh, there's this family, they married their daughter twice and didn't pay back the money and all of this, and people are gonna laugh and shit like that. They'll be dead. They won't give a shit. I'll be the one alive, and then my kids will be the ones who have to deal with all of this crap. They're being selfish and stupid.
So
That's how I'm looking at it.
Has it always been like this, Nuka, where you can get an annulment? Or was there a time before when, like, once you got married, you're married? You deal with
Well, you were always... the guy could always sort of get an annulment. But once a woman is married into the family, she carries your surname. She's part of that family. So now if you decide as the man you don't want her, you can't just get rid of her. Because what would happen before is you'd pay your lobola, you'd take your wife, and she'd move in to the homestead of your family, where it's a property where there's all these little different houses and different family members. So she'd still have her own house with her own children, even if you didn't want her. The only thing that would change is that you obviously can't go and sleep with her now because you don't want her, but you would be free to go off and marry somebody else, but the family would be responsible for looking after her and the children. Because once you got married, at least back in the day, you couldn't really go and marry another guy. It was frowned upon. But you would be looked after by the guy's family.
Just in the state are you married, or is there like a church system as well?
So there is a church system as well, but with the way things go with the African indigenous law, once you do the negotiations and all of the customs, that's important, part of it. If the customs have been adhered to, all the things that you're supposed to do, even if you haven't paid all of the money, you are legally married. You can go to Home Affairs, we call it Home Affairs, not what you guys call it, and go register properly your marriage. And it's always registered in community of property. That's how it just goes.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I was asking, I know, geez, probably 50 years ago, like, it was difficult to get an annulment. Like, if you were a part of a church, like, they really frowned upon stuff like that. Like, you're probably not going to be a part of the church. Well, before the 70s. Like, if you were to...
And what is it like
married,
now? It's just accepted.
Oh, now it doesn't matter. As long as you give your little tithing to the church, you can do whatever you want now. Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
I would say it's still very much frowned upon, but it's been accepted that, you know, people move on and, you know, develop other feelings and so on. But it's still very much frowned upon, especially if you don't do all the appropriate things that you're supposed to do to effectively annul the marriage. And that's where we're stuck. I even said that whatever the money is, we'll put the money together and go to the family and just pay it. Whatever the money is, I don't care that the aunt has used up the money. I don't give a shit. This is my family's name.
Yeah, my mom was Catholic, Roman Catholic, like devout. Went to, you know, Catholic school, K through 12 and all that kind of stuff. And she and her first husband, it was the mid 70s. That's like when all this started. And talking about, oh, you'll just get this and it'll be like you were never married. And I mean, that's a sin to my mom. My mom took a vow before God, you know, and said I would, through better or for worse, till death do us part. She took those things seriously as a devout Christian and woman and all this stuff, you know. And then the church was just like, yeah, don't worry about it. Pay this, pay that, blah, 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 blah. You guys were never married. You could still come to church and everything will be fine. And my mom was not having it. She quit the church after that.
And I think most churches, at least again, most Protestant churches, don't even offer. Like, it's not even a fucking issue.
Mm-hmm.
You can go get married in a Protestant church, but that church is not going to have a damn thing to do with your marriage. And if your marriage fails, they're not going to give a shit if you go and get a divorce. You don't even have to tell them.
I think every week. Yeah, and I'm sure there are some good churches out there. There's got to be, you know. But just like the news and everything you see on, you know, everything that they want to show us, we only see the bad churches, the ones that get caught doing things bad. And there's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of scammers out there that use religion. But there's got to be some good churches out there. I mean, there's got to be.
I wouldn't say good churches. I think most churches have a lot of good people. But more often than not, the leadership of that church tends to be the problem.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be a couple good ones out there where the leadership of that church, maybe not their leadership, but the person running that church is a good person. Gotta be. Oh man, yeah, that sounds rough, Nuka.
Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually. Even if I have to take out my own money to pay for this crap.
So how much does a cow go for?
I was just getting ready to ask.
Around about 9,000 rands. I'll tell you in dollars now. I'll check.
Now, I know in India cows are considered sacred. Do you guys eat cows there?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So it's roughly $550 for one cow.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
That's flipping expensive. Now imagine 10 cows and having to bring back that amount.
I think about caring for 10 cows. Caring for one cow, just feeding that damn thing.
Yeah, well, look, most people live in the city now, but you'll find that a lot of people still have what we call a farm, basically the farms where there's all this grazing land. They'll still have a connection to maybe an aunt lives there, a grandmother, great-grandmother or something. So if they get lowballed and the bride price is paid, like you can pay the money, you can pay it in money if you want. But sometimes they do want the actual cow so they can send it to the farms where the grandparents live and they'll look after the cow and cow will make little baby cows and so on, and then you have more. Oh, and another thing, I just looked now. So back in the day, if you were married in your African indigenous law, and it was the woman that wanted to leave the man, maybe they found somebody else or something, you could, but if there were children involved, the children stay with the guy's family. So you can still leave, but you leave the children.
And how often is that utilized?
Well, not a lot of women wanted to leave. I mean, once you got married, you were looked after. Your main job was to just look after your children and have more children. You didn't have to really do anything. You were looked after. So most wives just decided to stay. Even if the man wanted to move on, they would say, okay, that's fine. Go have your second wife and so on. And they would just relax in their own homestead with their children, raise their children. Good food, good life. Most people didn't want to leave.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at mammoth bones kept in a museum for 70 years turned out to be an entirely different animal. Yeah, I just saw that one go by. I had to snicker. So what's the average age for marriage over there? How young do you start getting married? And has that changed your lifetime?
Oh, I don't know the official stats, man. But I would say that most people now aren't getting married. Most young people are not getting married.
That's how it is here as well.
I mean, last year I went to
get married, or the women.
It's a bit of both, eh? It also depends on the race of the people. A lot of young white people still get married, and around 22, 23 when they're starting off their lives. A lot of people of Indian descent, they even marry at 18, 19. I would say about half of the young population still get married pretty early if you're of Indian descent, because they usually have a good family structure. And it's the same thing with them, where if you marry the girl moves in with your family. So you have all of this support system to sort of make the marriage work. Instead of you get married, the two of you go off somewhere and start off a family by yourselves and sort of figure life out. The black population of this country, so indigenous people, are definitely not getting married because of all the things that you'd have to go through just to get married, all of the ancestral things that you have to go through to get married, all the money involved. You know, I think white people, you go and ask the lady's father for the hand in marriage. I think that's the right thing to do. I guess you don't have to. And generally, the lady's family pays for the wedding. Now, we don't have any of that shit. You want to marry somebody, it's a costly thing. And unfortunately,
good thing it's not costly here in the States.
Also, it's all about, you know, cheating and sexual immorality in
Okay, so I'm an older
nowadays
guy.
really bad.
I'm an older guy. I'll admit that right now. I'm older, really is like 9 days older than dirt. And I get that at this point in my life, some of that drive to procreate and genetically disperse myself about the world has, you know, died down a little bit. Just a little now. Don't think, you know. But even at the height of, you know, the raging hormones and the just running around and being silly and cutting up, once I got to a point where I decided that it was time to get married to someone, like you're the person I'm gonna marry, and we're gonna be together forever and ever. Once that happened, hang on, Risso's biting my hand for attention. Hey, baby. Once that happened, then I stopped being wild and crazy and running around and stuff. Now, that being said, don't, you know, fast forward 7-8 years later and things had happened, and that's a whole different story. But once I decided to commit to going through and being married, then all that other, like, and I get it, everybody's different, everybody's raised different, everybody's got different morals and different mores. I get it, I guess. I just don't get why go through all this trouble to, okay, let's do our thing. Here's some cows. Okay. Oh, but wait, I'm going to cheat on you right away before we even start this thing. Just don't get it, Bob. Don't get it. And again, I'm not a dude that really, you know, I can't really say I never cheated, but I can say that at the start of my marriage, that wasn't the time I decided to do it. I don't know. I guess I'm talking outside of my face. I'll shut up.
So the generation we have right now, it's the free six generation, basically. You people,
right? So then why the fuck start with the marriage
with anyone?
Right.
So you look at the view of a guy because being married is such a big spectacle. There's so many things that you need to do, and it's a whole community sort of thing where the whole community gets involved in your thing. And then you marry this person, you basically bankrupt yourself. You've married this person, and then they go and sleep with somebody and shame you and embarrass you in front of everybody. Why would you do it? Why would you go through with the marriage? Because you can just sleep with her and not get married. Because girls nowadays will sleep with you without getting married. So what's the point?
Right, exactly.
They call that getting the milk for free. Why buy the whole cow when you get the milk free?
Well, there you go. It's the embarrassment part of it that, you know, is a very big thing. That's why you find a lot of people, we have this thing called GBV in our country. It's big at the moment. It's gender-based violence. But a lot of these guys then go off and kill their wives and end up killing the children and all of this because of something that the wife did to basically embarrass him. Not that it's right to kill somebody, but that's the reason.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens quite a bit over here too. So how are how is your education system doing? Has it gotten way worse since you went to school compared to now?
I would say it's about the same. It hasn't changed. We have a very complicated education system. Depending on the area where you live, you're going to most likely go to the local school in your area. You don't have to, you can go anywhere. But in terms of being able to afford it, you're probably going to be able to afford a school in your area because of transport, school fees, that kind of thing. And because a lot of the indigenous people of this country live in townships where, this is where we were moved by the apartheid government, those schools were not really catered to basically progressing the black mind. And it still holds true very much so till today. If you live in a township, you're likely going to get a subpar education. And you're not really going to make it in life. But if your parents have moved up in the world just a little bit, you can move out of your area in terms of schooling, go to a better school outside of your area. You have a better chance. And if you're rich, you can go to a private school. Then you're definitely going to be okay afterwards.
We have a huge issue here in the United States with people graduating high school, getting to college, and not being able to read a sentence.
Well, let me ask you this about your education system. To pass high school, what percentage must you get with each subject that you studied in high school? So is it 50%? Then you pass?
No, it used to be 60%, but then they started doing this no child left behind. So we're going to drag all the children back now. So I don't know. I don't know what the standards are. I know Harvard finally reintroduced the SAT scores as part of their acceptance curriculum. Like for a decade or so, they didn't require any type of testing. They went by feeling.
Feeling.
And trying to get a quota. Yeah, that's how it was. Trying to get a good quota. Diversity, equity, inclusion, trying to include everybody. Even if you're a dumbass that can't read, come to Harvard.
So then how do you get into trade schools in your country?
You just pretty much go and sign up. Most of them are. Now there's certain building trades where
but what do you need to get qualified to sign up to a trade school? Don't you need your high school diploma or something?
Maybe a GED, which is just like the same thing as a diploma, but you didn't go all the way through school. You just kind of tested out. But
okay, so
I don't think yeah. It's like when I was 20, it was $50 you needed to apply to get into a trade school. Sent $50 to the union, whatever, and then they went through applications, and you pretty much had to know somebody, have an uncle or a cousin or father, brother, somebody already in the trade to get you in, or you got lucky. There was a few lucky people every 6 months. They would call up a new class to come in and start training, and yeah, you pretty much work through school. Like, you get paid to get trained, and you get paid less than they do, of course, but then you get your journeyman card after a few years, and now you can go work anywhere in the country pretty much.
Okay, so you tell me this now. You judge our education system. We have core subjects. These are your two languages, because everybody has to do two languages in school. That's non-negotiable. And then you have your maths and you have your science. Those are four core subjects. You have to get 40% or above in those four subjects. You can sort of fail one, but if you end up failing two of them, you will fail. Even if you get 100% for everything else after that, you will fail. So if you get below 40% in two of those core subjects, they will fail you. And then the rest of the subjects, you sort of pick yourself. Maybe you want to do business studies, you want to do history, geography, whatever it is. They will let you pass with 33%. So people think, oh, okay, it's shit that you can pass with 33%, but it is what it is. But what they don't say or don't realize is once you reach matric, so that's your 12th grade, grade 12, whatever you want to call it, there's 3 passes that you can get. So if you average out around 65% or above, you pass matric with what we call a bachelor's. So you can go to university and study for a degree. If you get below 65% average for everything, you pass with a diploma. So you can go to a technical college. Some universities still offer diplomas as well, smaller universities, so you can go study that. If you averaging below the 50%, you pass with what we call a certificate, where you can most likely only qualify to go to a trade school. That's how our education system works. Where is everybody?
All way around.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm sitting here talking to you on mute. Like my nephew, I talked him out of going to college and to getting into the trade schools. He's going to become an electrician. And electricians, that's one of the higher paying trades here in the U.S. As far as the building trades go, I told him, you could be a steel worker, an iron worker, a bricklayer, a pipe fitter. There's 50 different building trades that you could become an expert in. I was like, but when you're 60 years old, you still see 60-year-old electricians out there. Like, lots of them. It's not as wear and tear on your body as a lot of the other building trades. You'll still see a 60-year-old iron worker out there, but they're a lot fewer and far between. It's not as much wear and tear on your body being an electrician than it is a lot of these other building trades. And they also get paid more. You just have to be good at math.
You need to be good at math, though. That's the thing. And we have
and he is.
Very big shortage of good math teachers. I studied what we call math literacy in high school because I couldn't do core maths because the teacher that was teaching maths in my school couldn't do it. We'd literally sit there and listen to her talk shit. And then at break time, one of the smartest students would get up and actually teach the class for the maths because the teacher taught absolute bullshit. And that guy was smart, he ended up getting a scholarship to one of the best universities and all of that. But because of that, I didn't take core maths because they couldn't teach it. Only when I got to university and I had a teacher that actually gave a shit that I couldn't do maths, and she would sit with me during her own time, come on weekends, and make us come on weekends until we absolutely understood what was going on in maths. And then I realized, oh shit, I'm actually decent at maths. But now if I had that same teacher when I started high school, I could have decided, I want to go be a doctor or a flipping engineer or something. I lived my whole high school career thinking I couldn't do maths because of a teacher, which is, really stupid.
Yeah, a bad teacher can mess up a student for life. Yeah, I always just got math. Math was easy for me. I had my older sister who had a lot of trouble in math. So when I was like 5, I was doing 3rd grade flashcards, you know, learning all that stuff, sitting in the back seat with my sister. Just, I learned through osmosis pretty much. Just being there.
So where do you learn to be an electrical engineer? Do you go to university or a trade school?
Engineer, electrical engineer is a little bit different than an electrician. You probably have to go to university for something like that. I think that's what Andrew teaches. But yeah, that's... He might
That's
be able to learn
why
that
I'm
at
asking.
certain trade
That's why I'm
schools.
asking, because electricians go to a trade school in my country, but to hold an electrical engineering degree, you have to go to a university.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. Yeah, we always talk. Man, engineers are the smartest dumb people, or the dumbest smart people, I should say. The guys at work, they were bitching about the engineers because, you know, they're like setting up the city and where things are supposed to be for certain things. And yeah, the engineers need to spend a little bit more time on the floor, I think, to understand what's actually going on out there before they start making, you know, trying to fix the wheel. Oh. So what are sports like there in South Africa? How many kids' dreams is it to be a professional footballer?
Like footballers and soccer,
Yeah.
again, depends on the race. The black kids all want to be soccer stars. You know, they play very competitively. The ones that go to what we call former Model C schools, which are semi-private schools, where the school fees are a little bit high, but those are the really good schools. And private schools, a lot of them want to play rugby and cricket, and they'll do maybe hockey and, you know, stuff like that. Because the township schools only really provide soccer, so that's all they have to go on. So they just want to be soccer stars. But the other schools provide other things like swimming, athletics, you know, stuff like that. So it just sort of depends what you went to. I went to a semi-private school. I played rugby, I played cricket, I played a little bit of basketball, although I was useless at it. I played some soccer. I did debating in school. I was captain of the debate team, captain of the cricket team, vice captain of the rugby team. I pretty much played a lot of sport. I played hockey as well. I did cross country. I didn't do swimming because I couldn't swim in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pro basketball player till 8th grade. And then we played Gary Middle School. I saw a bunch of 8th graders dunking, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not going to play professional basketball.
So with sports, are there any, what do you call it again? I can't remember the word now. It's on the tip of my tongue. Where you have to include a certain race or a certain amount of females in a sport. What's it called? So I'm having a brain fart at the moment.
Is that
affirmative action?
What's it called?
You beat
I
me,
won't
Jack.
call it affirmative action. It's another word for it.
There's then
We did call it
DEI.
transformation. Let me see if I can find it.
Crazy? Girls playing football. Go out there and watch some of those girls playing football. High school football, and some of those guys that hold nothing back and just run over them like a truck. It's horrible.
I can't find the word for this. But, basically in my country, depending on the sport, we have to sort of include to try and transform the sports. There's a lot of sports that were basically only played by white people. Like, I also did sailing when I was in high school. And that's a very white-dominated sport. But we ended up having a sailing club, and I went sailing, and I learned how to sail. And it was good to see more black kids sort of doing sailing. So things like hockey, for example, Billington was mentioning it in chat, is predominantly only played by white kids because they like hockey. It's what they want to do. But for them to have national teams and to travel the world and represent South Africa, they have to have at least one black person on the team. And one person of color. It can be Indian now, I think, or colored, or whatever you want to call it, to try and transform the sport so it's visible in other areas of the country, like in the townships. Like if they go off to the Commonwealth Games or something and they win gold, it's going to be on TV, even in the townships, and they want to go, oh, look, there's a black person playing hockey. What the hell is hockey? Then they might get interested in hockey. So we have a lot of that in our sports. But it also applies to soccer, where it's predominantly black people, but they actually have to include white people in that team as well.
Yeah, I dropped a link in the chat to a young girl in high school football. And her first catch. So if you want to see why women should not play in men's sports with them, or why men should not play in women's sports, that's a video that'll shed some light on that. Yeah, football is one of those sports I don't think is ever going to take off with girls. They're definitely taken off with basketball and softball and stuff like that, but football, they've tried it.
But America plays very good soccer when it comes to the ladies. Aren't you guys the world champions?
I think we were at one point.
Sure, you guys still are, no?
I don't know. I know they got beat by a bunch of 50 and up men.
Yeah, but that's besides the point. When they verse other women, they win.
And then what was it? The Australian team that was ranked 5th in the world got beat by a bunch of 15 and unders. Yeah, that's why men and women shouldn't compete in sports. It's just not fair.
Boys shouldn't play in women's sports. Tell that to Caitlin Clark, says, I don't know who that is, in chat. But Caitlin
She
Clark
kind
is a
of does
woman.
look like a guy. She kind of looks like a guy.
Nah, not really. She still looks like a chick. She's a very handsome chick, but she's still a chick.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw a girl and was like, dang, dude, she might be able to beat me at basketball.
I think basketball is a lot of stamina. If you can have all the skills in the world, if you don't have the stamina to keep running up and down the court, it means nothing. You're going to get your ass kicked.
Now, a lot of it's being able to conserve that energy and knowing when to use it.
I find it.
I mean,
I
it
will
is-
say
it
this
is
now:
right.
with all the sports that I've played, the most physically demanding sport, and I've played rugby. The most physically demanding sport I found was basketball.
Oh, soccer by far for me. Like basketball, I'm doing a lot of standing around.
Oh no, basketball's a lot of running, a lot of exhausting energy, and it just seems like if you take a shot and you miss, even more energy just comes out of you because you missed. Now you have to run around and catch the ball again. Soccer, I play a centre back, so I'm a defender. So I do a lot of standing around in soccer, like waiting for the ball to come to my area.
I play center mid and then center defense.
I wonder what Josh and Walter played in high school.
Well, here's the thing. As I was in like 1st through 5th grade, I went to a school where my cousin played football, and the whole team, the whole town where I went to elementary school, the whole town was into the team, into the gang. Everybody went to the games. It was like typical good old rah-rah American football, go team. And so I couldn't wait to play football. And the year that I was able to finally start playing football, which was my 6th grade year, I did take out and went and started messing around there at the junior high level, and went and played, and went and did like the preseason, going, doing all the pre-training, all the stuff. And that year was the year that my mom decided she was going to go to respiratory school. And we went to my dad's to live for a year or a year and a half or whatever it was. And so during that time, where I live now here in Franklin, there wasn't the whole team cared football. People cared. It was not that here at all. Don't know why. Just never was. So there was like really no reason, excitement. Didn't care, didn't grow up here, didn't know the team, didn't know the people, just wasn't the same thing as what I grew up. Couldn't wait to be a Tiger. Here, I don't even know the name of the team anymore. And then unfortunately, once we went back to my mom and lived with her again after she finished respiratory therapy school, we were living up in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is a whole different area. And there, same thing, Northwood, the Falcons. Couldn't wait, went out for football. Saw that like nobody cared, the team didn't care, the coach really didn't care. It really was just like a reason to get out of class and get a couple special privileges. It really wasn't about playing the game or caring or like carrying on this spirit of like, yeah, we're all this thing or whatever it was. So at that point, I completely lost any interest in it at all. I did enjoy playing some baseball around town here and there, different little, local league teams, that kind of thing. But, never really went any further than that. Like once I got to the 7th grade and saw what was going on at Northwood, just never did play anything. And then as far as watching sports and all that, never cared at all. Even when I was wanting to play sports, I definitely didn't want to sit around and watch them on TV.
Josh gives off the vibe he played dodgeball. I think he's sleeping. Okay, since he's sleeping, Walter, I was reading up on some stats before I hopped on here. I was helping one of my cousins with debating, and she has to do this afternoon. And it was about porn, and it said 67% of pastors have personal history with porn. I don't know what personal history means. And then 18% of pastors in the United States currently struggle with pornography. Only 7% of pastors reports their church has a ministry program for those struggling with porn. And I was looking at these stats, and eventually it went to things like AI-generated porn. And there was a federal case in Charlotte about the legalities of child pornography if it's AI generated. And I ended up going to Wikipedia to actually view the definition of what child pornography actually is. And it seems like if you possess images of prepubescent children, even if they're like in a swimming costume, it constitutes as child pornography. Thoughts? Anyone?
I mean,
yeah, we have a huge problem with that over here. I don't know if you know about that.
Again, I guess maybe it's kind of like, right, I guess maybe it's kind of like the discussion earlier about I don't understand, you know, cheating on someone you just got engaged to if you've gone to the point of getting engaged. I never really, even as a youngster where like porn was like, you know, a big factor of my life. And then even in certain relationships where it was a big part of our life. And even when I worked at a place that we had, you know, every variety of pornography you can imagine, we offered it for sale or rent. Other than the oh, okay, that's funny for 5 seconds of like whatever cartoon porn type thing that would be there floating around, and somebody would go, oh, you got to see it. And I'd be like, do I really? It just never did anything for me. And then once it stepped up to the whole like, you know, computer animated, like I'm watching a cutscene from a video game, but they're having sex. Yeah. And it's kind of like watching a movie that's all 3D crap now, like watching, what is it, the blue people, Avatar. Saw the first one, don't care at all, don't care. I'm not watching 3 hours of video game footage. It's just not real. It doesn't do anything. I know movies aren't real, but if I can't get to a suspension of disbelief because I'm watching fucking blips on the screen, it just isn't for me. Just, you know, animation and so I'm taking that, you know, oh, now it's like real looking computer generated shit. Oh, but it's real and they're sweating, and I don't care. It just doesn't do anything for me. That's me.
So now, Walter, what if there's AI generated child pornography? Should that be deemed illegal, even though there's no victim in this particular case?
I mean,
I don't know. That's kind of like saying cartoon murder, you know. I don't know. That's a weird one. You know, there's people that are all into gore and violence and this and that, and yada, yada, yada. And you can draw it all day and not get in trouble, you know. But as soon as you step into the realm of actually doing it, that's when you're crossing.
But this takes me back to a conversation we've had here before, like the sex dolls, when they want to make children sex dolls.
Yeah.
Because it's not really hurting anybody, but I mean, whichever way you scratch it, it's weird. I don't know if it's illegal, but it's weird.
But they're illegal here.
Yeah, there you go. Again, I never did understand it. So at one point, you literally could like get how can I say these things tactfully? So let's say there's a particular porn star you're enamored with, like John Jobo, and he's the man, and he can throw that thing hard. Whatever you're into about John Jobo. And so you could come in and you can go down a certain aisle and you look around, boom, there is an exact replica of John Jobo's member in all its veiny glory, right there for you to buy. If you pay the extra, it's even got like probably hair implanted into it, or I don't know. But it was based off of an actual plaster cast of John Jobo's Jobo. So, and it's still a piece of fucking rubber or silicone or whatever. And, but she sat in goo, and it's exactly the area of her vulva and all that. I'm like, and what? It's a fucking piece of rubber. I just never did understand it. Never got it. Never did. So yeah, to make a child version of it, if that scratches your itch, then I guess get scratched. But I can't even understand. Can't. Sorry, I just saw Sherry's new password go. But anyway, yeah, I just never did get it. But if you're already inclined to be a deviant of that level of like just can't be normal and enjoy normal, but that's everybody's got their thing, everybody's got their kink, whatever. I just don't. Yeah, y'all are so silly in chat.
Slow Minga says watching porn makes you gay.
Because there's penises in it? I don't understand. Why does
I asked him to explain, and that was his reply.
I think there are some people
It creates homosexuals
that would say that that sexual type of immorality is homosexual behavior. Like an inability to keep it in your pants is gay behavior, is the way I've heard it described.
Doesn't it come with also the age? I mean, when I was young, I couldn't keep it in my pants. Now, I'm way better behaved than before.
Oh. Thinks jumping around like he's got to go potty again, so you're not going for a ride. You already know that. Oh, it's a clear morning. Should be a pretty sunrise today.
So I saw the story. It looked pretty interesting, and as I read it, I became more and more interested. And the headline says that the U.S. used sonic weapons on Venezuelan troops. Report shared by Levitt claims. So it's a viral story from a man claiming to have witnessed the U.S. operation to capture the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, states that the U.S. used sonic weapons during the mission to incapacitate opposing forces. Which is always great to read, given the fact that, we've known they've been using these. So it goes on to kind of, at least. So he goes on to describe it. Says, we were on guard, but suddenly all of our radar systems shut down without any explanation, the witness said. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our positions, and we didn't know how to react. They were technologically very advanced, the guard said. They didn't look like anything we've fought against before. We were hundreds, but we had no chance, he said. They were shooting with such precision and speed, it felt like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. And this just sounds like a sales video for the U.S. military. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it, he said. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started to bleed from the nose, he added. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon, or whatever it was. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us, the witness claimed. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like it. The White House did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital when asked whether Levitt's sharing of the post constituted confirmation of its veracity. The Pentagon also did not immediately respond when asked if the U.S. deployed sonic weapons or energy weapons in Venezuela. So, there you go. I just thought that was an interesting account.
Josh, has your media reported that Iran, China, and Russia are on the South African coast with South Africa doing war games?
I don't know. Seems like I saw China might have been doing some war games, but I think that was like they completely surrounded Taiwan and then started doing their exercises. But I don't know if I've seen any reports about them being off the coast.
Well, I know they've made new islands out there, and they're calling that their new territory. They've just been dumping sand out there for a decade, and now they're claiming new parts of the sea because it's within their boundaries of their new land that they made. I don't know how legal that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
International laws and all that stuff. I mean, make an island. I don't know if we've ever had to make laws against that before.
Oh, Trump, making friends all over the world.
My buddies at work got a kick out of your reaction, Nuka, after they took Maduro. When you were like, oh, no, Trump's great. Love Trump.
That is Mr. President Trump to you, sir.
Mr. President
Show
Trump.
some respect.
But yeah, they got a kick out of that. I was like, no, there's people all around the world that are Mr. Trump this morning.
Well, I hope this is not the beginning of World War III. But I mean, he's burning his bridges, in my opinion. How can you tell an ally that you're going to take their land? I'm talking about Greenland now. That's you're going to take their land and use it. I mean, you're supposed to be allies. Even if you're going to do that, why would you announce it to the world?
And the way that he did it. Again, this was something that was floated and discussed and whispered about years ago, or maybe at the beginning of this one, maybe a year ago, talking about how he wanted Greenland. And I laughed, haha, you're silly. You're going to buy it or whatever. Ha 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 ha. That's just dumb. But you say dumb shit. So whatever. Now the headline I read this morning that Trump says, we'll take Greenland the hard way if we can't do it the easy way.
Yeah, I saw that on the weekend too.
What the fuck does that mean?
He did say he's willing to negotiate with them, but they're going to take it if they don't want to play ball. So Who needs enemies with friends like that?
I mean, what do you do?
He's already got bases in Greenland. I don't understand why he doesn't just negotiate with them to put more bases or buy up some of their land. It's not like they'd say no. They're allies. At least they were allies.
On the road again.
I'll just watch, see how it ends up. It's just really big on our news here because of the presence of Russia, China, and Iran doing their war games on our coast. And we're all like, well, this is clearly for show because our navy is absolutely worthless. So.
Sorry, I'm sitting here reading the article about the autistic Barbie, complete with a fidget spinner. Now, they say it was the Barbie doll, how's it described, is designed with an eye gaze shifted slightly to the side to reflect how some autistic people may avoid direct eye contact. But I don't think her gaze is shifted to the side from the pictures I'm seeing. She looks like a normal old Barbie doll. Even though she's got noise-canceling headphones on. Yeah, to just take a Barbie doll and wrap it in fucking bubble wrap. There we go. Here's your Gen Alpha Barbie dolls. Completely nerfed from the world around them.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures and I definitely don't seem the gaze is any different than the other Barbies next to it, whatever.
So when are you guys having your elections again?
There was one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe there are some midterms coming up.
What are midterms?
It signifies a halfway through the term.
A third of your grade, I think.
It's really just sort of overlapping of voting people in and who you're voting in. So it's not all done on the same year. So where everything gets replaced, they overlap it a little bit.
So what happens if people don't vote for Trump in the midterms?
Well,
no.
Because the presidential election isn't going to be this year. It's not on the midterms. So you are not going to be replacing the president at the midterms because it's only midway through their term. So you're going to be replacing other politicians in other places. So that
I am so confused.
Okay, well, imagine if you had a bunch of kids and their birthday was on the same day. You had 10 kids and they were all born on the same day. And you're like, well, fuck, I don't want to buy all these birthday presents on the same fucking day every fucking year. How about I take some of these birthdays and I'll just switch them to 6 months down the road. That way I'm buying half the presents 6 months at a time, right? I could buy 5 in June and then 5 in December instead of 10 every fucking December. I can just split it up and about halfway through the midterm, I'll just do half then and then half at the other side. That way I don't have to do it all at once. Same with the midterms. rather than
think of it like the Olympics. You got your Winter Olympics, and then 2 years later you have your Summer Olympics, but they only happen every 4 years.
So
Right?
with your
So
example
they kind
there,
of
Josh.
alternate.
So with your example there, Josh, if in the midterms people, I guess, vote for the Democratic Party or something, they've already got half the votes when it comes to the full elections.
Well, say you might be voting for congressman. So where President Trump and the Republicans will control the House of Representatives and the Congress and the presidency, giving them the supermajority. If at the midterms, say the Republicans lose the House of Representatives and it goes to the Democrats because people voted more Dems back in than they did the Republicans at the midterms, then the Republicans would no longer have a supermajority because they will have lost the House of Representatives to the Democrats, thereby sort of losing some of their power to get done anything they want done. If they have the supermajority, they can basically steamroll and do, in a lot of ways, do whatever they want without having to worry about what the Democrats say because the Democrats don't have the power. But if you have more Democrats in power after the midterms, then the Republicans lose that supermajority and lose a lot of their power to just do whatever it is they want because now the Dems control the House. They have to have the Democratic approval in the House of Representatives. And because the Dems control the House, they would have a hard time actually getting that approval, meaning doing the things they want just takes a long, slow route and requires a little bit more politicking amongst.
Okay, so which house or representatives or whatever agreed with what Trump did or gave him permission to do what he did?
I don't know because there's so many of the representatives. I don't know specifically which one of the representatives did or didn't agree with Trump. I don't think many of them did. I know there were several of them that voted to limit his power. Josh Hawley here from Missouri being one of them, saying, you know what, maybe you should go get congressional approval before you just start bombing shit. Which kind of pissed Trump off and said, well, maybe you guys just shouldn't be politicians at all if you want to limit my power and question what I do. Tell me to obey the Constitution and that I have to have war powers from Congress. I get to do whatever the fuck I want. So I'm going to bomb Iran and I'm going to bomb Venezuela and I'm going to take Greenland because I don't need congressional approval, which is just not the way it works.
Well, kind of seems like that's how it works.
No, well, that's the way he is working it. It's not the way it is designed to work. That's why I said he just didn't do it. The law is you need congressional approval, and he just said, fuck it, I'm not getting it. If I don't declare war, then I don't need War Powers Act from Congress. If I'm just bombing somebody, I mean, there's plenty of precedents for just bombing the shit out of people without it being a war. Obama, before he became president, won the Nobel Peace Prize. That as soon as he won the Nobel Peace Prize and became president, he just bombed the shit out of people. He didn't give a fuck.
You'd have drone meetings like every morning.
But he's not declaring
Trump
war.
will get a Nobel Peace Prize as well.
He
for
can't.
ridding the world of Maduro.
No.
So you can commit war, you just can't declare it. I mean, we sent 150 aircraft into Venezuela all at one time. Military aircraft. I'm sorry, that's war. However you want to spin it, say, oh, well, we didn't declare war. We just dropped bombs and shot down their planes and, made room for the Blackhawks to get in and get him out of there. And, well, yeah, that's war. No matter how you want to spin it, you're still doing war. Have you seen any of the them talking about the planes and how well they did working together and all that?
Yeah.
They said it was a beautifully ran operation. Like they controlled the sky the whole time. It just, I know it's war, it's horrible and everything, but it's just very impressive to see our military perform that well.
Also scary for the rest of the world.
Well, yeah. And I think that's part of Trump's message and that whole thing. Because they're claiming that we didn't lose one U.S. troop. Not one U.S. person got killed. That's pretty impressive.
And it's only January.
I know, of year 2. I really can't wait till he's done being president, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think this country needs a break, a chance to heal a little bit and come together in the middle, find the middle again.
How is that going to happen? By electing a Democrat? I don't think so.
After we wipe about 4 billion people off the face of the earth, after World War III happens, then we'll have time to come together and heal as a nation.
Yeah, it looks like that's the way it's heading.
Yeah. At this point, I'd be surprised if he still wasn't in power after 4 years. If those emergency war powers and the declaring an emergency, a state of an emergency in martial law, and just be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we just need to postpone those presidential elections for a few years while I get all this shit sorted out.
Guys, I have a question about the US dollar. So my currency has been gaining on the US dollar for the last 2 months, I think. And I noticed because I get paid in dollars. And usually when my country's going to shit, I earn more money. But lately, my country's been stable, and I don't know what's happening with the US, and my currency has been gaining on the US dollar. Why is that?
Because we print money every month. We're still doing our quantitative easing from 2008. It's crazy, but they just add more zeros every month. Billions and billions of dollars. Just make them up out of thin air.
And then it weakens your dollar.
Well, yeah, the more you have of the dollars, the less they're worth, right?
And is this going to carry on for foreseeable future? Are you guys going to get your shit together so I can make more money?
Shit, there was only supposed to be like 3 of these things, quantitative easings. 4 at the most when they first started it. That's a year. Every quarter, they were planning on doing it. Yeah, no, there's no end in sight with this shit.
Last week, we just added like $1.3 trillion to the military budget. Almost as though someone is anticipating a need to up production and up investments in military stuff. So we need an extra $1 trillion just for the military spending. An extra.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what?
That's a big bump.
Like somebody's expecting World War fucking III type of bump.
You know, Trump isn't fucking around. He really wants everyone to find work. So much so that it's fucking with your economy that I have to go out pretty soon to get another job because of him fucking around with your currency.
Yeah, this bubble's been waiting to pop for a long time. They just keep kicking the can down the road. You know, I was thinking about this the other night. With all the money that they've ever created with this quantitative easing, it's got to be in the trillions, right? Probably multiple trillions.
For sure.
Now, what would have happened if they would have taken that money and given it to the American citizens? Do you think that might have boosted the economy a little bit? When they did the 2008 bailout of those 5 banks, they gave 5 banks, I forget how much it was. I did the math at the time. Every U.S. citizen, say there's about 330 million people at that time. That's what the number I did. You could give every U.S. citizen, children included, $45,000 each. Now, you think people could have paid off their mortgage loans that they were behind on and caught up on some stuff? I mean, a family of 4, you're looking at, what is that, $160,000, $180,000 to help out and get caught up. That would have been nice. Banks could have got paid off and stayed solvent. People could have kept their homes. And the economy would have done better because people would have had money to spend.
Yeah, but you know how many reservations those guys had ready planned for their trips out of the country to go relax and recover from this? It's tough to when you're stressed out like that. You gotta chill. You gotta hit the slopes and.
It's just crazy to think when you start adding up all this money and doing the math. It's like, wait a minute, where'd all this stuff go? That's why they don't want the children being able to do math.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Andrew B.
Good morning, Andrew
B.
When it comes to the whole concept of understanding debt with the United States and other governments, so who exactly are we owing the debt to? Is it just a number that's going up and up and up and up, even though you have this, I think it's like nationaldebt.org or something like that. So as it continues to go up, that number goes up, then the dollar it weakens. So if other countries are going to do the same thing, what do they care? It's not their money, but where does it go to? Where does it come from? These are called basically imaginary numbers. Even though I don't like using that term, it's an actual mathematical reference. It's used in engineering and physics and economics. It's an imaginary number. It's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like it's there, but it's not really there. So if we were to pay off, say, every single person in the United States were to actually associate 100% of their income, and maybe even say 101, 102% of their income, savings accounts and whatnot, and we were to try to pay off the debt, what would happen? Who are we paying it to? And how much money would be left over? Well, we would have no more money.
Describe to me how I pay 102%.
Well, I'm saying that, okay, so your wages would be taxed at 100%. So every single thing you're doing is taxed, and then from there, you'd have to start going into your bank accounts, retirement accounts, and things like that.
Firstborn.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, you have a couch? Oh, that's a nice couch. All right, that's worth. I'll give you $50. $50. Anyone?
$3.50.
China? Who wants China for $50? What do you want?
Oh, how much did we buy the island of New York for? Wasn't it like $25 silver, something like that?
What, Long Island?
Yeah. Maybe
I don't know.
$250. I know it wasn't a whole lot in today's money.
So if we are going to be paying these taxes to these people, then insist that we pay them. Otherwise, if you don't pay these, this theft charge, which is basically taxes, so what they will do is, oh, really? Okay. Well, now we're going to actually go and use the law against you and levy basically a penalty against your bank account and your employer. And we're going to just start taking money until the debt's paid off.
Oh, yeah, they do that.
Student loan debt's, I think, the only debt they can do that with.
I believe so, yes.
So it's not like a credit card company's going to come and start pulling money at your bank account because you owe them.
No,
the government
will. They can do your like your wages that you make. A credit card company can.
No, garnishing wages from a credit card is no.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Nope.
I've had it done to me.
Well, then
I think you just got...
I had no say in the matter.
You got bent over.
I mean, if they can't do it, I don't know how they got a hold of I didn't okay it. I didn't sign anything saying, oh, yeah, take my money. They just started doing it.
Child support. That's another one. They'll garnish wages for child support. Like, liens can be placed, but levies are a little bit harder to accomplish.
Yeah, when I was working this one particular job in Virginia, I was at the social services actually, and right by the elevator, they had this big wanted sign up on the board. You could see all these different pictures of these guys, and they were all wanted for many hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of unpaid child support. And that's when I found out, like, holy shit, yeah. If they're not paying child support for hundreds of thousands of dollars, then what happens is, they'll actually put out, like law enforcement are going to start looking for you, like the FBI and local police departments, things like that.
That
and
is
student
such
loans,
horseshit.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. The more fucked up thing about it is if you were going to be working and you owe all that money, well, what they do is they take away your driver's license. Like, what? And I know this because one of the guys in my apartment complex, I don't know what, 20 years ago or something, he was like, they took away my license. Now it makes it even more difficult for me to get a job.
Yup.
It's like, it's a lose-lose situation. Well, it's a lose-win situation. Lose for the person, win for the government. But
Jekyll Island.
Actually,
that's what the fuck you get. You got the Federal Reserve and you got feminism. And with feminism came no-fault divorce. And with no-fault divorce came alimony and spousal support and the requirement of the men to pay child support. Almost irrespective of the ability to parent. Mom gets the right to murder the child where the dad has no say. But if the child is born, then the father still has no rights and still just has to be the one financially responsible if the mom leaves. Like, that just doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Mom wants to leave the marriage and take the kids, fine. But now you're responsible. Now you're just going to be a housewife who's divorced and a single mom, but now you got to support yourself and support your kids. All by yourself. I don't think you should mandate child support. If abortion is legal, there is no way we should mandate child support from a father. Zero. I think men should be encouraged to not pay anything to their children once the mother leaves. At least as much as that the mothers are encouraged to just kill a child if they might be a little inconvenienced.
Well, it's just another crutch to help people get divorced, to get separated.
Which they don't even need,
You know?
because they have no fault divorce. Thanks to the creatures from Jekyll Island. Nah, you don't need a fucking reason. Maybe your husband doesn't make you feel sexy. Go fuck the neighbor. Go fuck the guy that makes you feel sexy and blow up your marriage.
Forget about that vow you took.
Who cares?
No big deal.
We're going to make that husband pay you spousal support and pay you child support.
Yeah, alimony and child support. Here in California, if a woman lives with a man, whether they are engaged or not, or if they're dating or not, she has lived with him for a certain amount of time. It's 10 or more years, and all of a sudden the man says to the woman, like, oh, it's time to get the fuck out, get off my property. She can actually sue him in court for alimony.
Yeah. They did away with that here in Missouri not terribly long ago. A common law marriage. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty twisted. And this is where lawyers and governors, well, not governors, but, well, actually, yeah, governors, but local law, it gets really, really twisted. What is it like in South Africa, Nuku?
What, the marriage laws?
Well, yeah, like alimony and
we don't
things like that.
we don't have alimony, and if you guys separate, it's 50-50 in terms of custody.
That's it, just 50-50, like end of story.
50-50 in terms of custody. Boom. But obviously, if the mother doesn't work, the father can go to court and try to get full custody, or he's going to have to pay child support to the mom. But it's not a lot of money, the child support. It's not really enough, no matter how much you earn. They don't calculate it based on how much you earn as a person. You can earn 10 million a year. Our courts don't give a shit. They're going to calculate how much it costs.
And there you go. So if the woman decides, you know what, I stayed at home, and instead of going to get a job to take care of my kids, I think I'd really much rather just continue to stay at home and sit on my ass.
Yeah, but if you get a divorce and you've never worked, you're going to have to go and get a job. Because, like I said, they're not going to give you a lot of money to raise a kid. Say your kids are already 10 years old, and the father will volunteer and say, I'll pay the medical bills and the school fees and the kids' food. That's not going to be a lot of money. Where the children stay, where the mother is staying, she's responsible now for paying for the house, the utilities, and everything else. She's going to have to go and work. Because that's not going to come from the father. You divorced him.
That makes sense to me. But in America, a lot of times, if you and your husband decide that you're going to be a stay-at-home mom and the marriage ends, then there's a certain expectation that, well, the wife should just continue to live the same sort of lifestyle that she had before. Karen B., if the man leaves the marriage, then that should definitely be part of the payment. Yeah, he should. I think that would qualify for spousal support. Like, you can absolutely do it, but it's going to cost you.
In terms of just legalities in my country, we're doing it the court system way. If you leave your marriage as the woman, you're going to be screwed. It's only a benefit if you are like married traditionally, because the family is supposed to look after you. regardless, unless you obviously cheated. Then you're fucked.
Yeah, that's as I was just now looking at chat, and yes, Karen, I do believe that you're absolutely correct that raising a child is a full-time job. It's not a job you're getting paid for, but it's a responsibility that men and women, when they are going to be having a child, that should be in some sort of a, an agreed upon kind of a thing where the man goes and works and provides for the family, and the woman is going to be the home taker. And that's just how it is throughout history, and it seems to work. But all of a sudden the guy decides he's like, all right, well, fuck this, I'm just going to back out. Yeah, okay, well, at that point, that's an agreed upon contract, matrimony.
Andrew, just to add to what you're saying there to Karen, I don't think anyone disagrees when they say it's a full-time job. The thing is, though, they're your fucking children. Why do you get paid for looking after your own fucking children?
Well, it's the thing of women are not going to be able to do the same amount of jobs that men can do. And men are able to go and do these different things. We don't have the ability to have a womb where we raise a child, or give birth to a child, and then be... I mean, hopefully I'm not speaking to a dead audience or something when I say this. I mean, it's pretty freaking obvious that when
you're speaking a lot of horse shit.
I am?
You think?
Yeah, you're speaking a lot of horse shit. You're talking about we don't have the ability to give birth. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But they also can't give birth without our sperm. That kid belongs to both of them. I don't see why one parent needs to get paid for looking after their own kid.
I am not in total agreement in regards to the whole thing of the matrimony and the legality behind this. I'm not speaking horseshit. I'm just saying that if a woman is a man and woman gets pregnant, she gives birth, newborn child. Man goes to work and brings home the bacon, as the whole phraseology is. And in the meantime, she is going to be the one that's taking care of the child and doing these different things. That a woman is not going to be able to give birth to a child and then have a full-time job and then come home to her newborn child. It doesn't work like that. That's just where men have a responsibility in the world.
Okay, so Andrew, here's a question for you.
Sure.
You have a kid with somebody, all right, you separate. You're financially responsible for this kid because the mother has decided she's going to stay home and look after this kid, right? You're legally responsible for this kid. And she's going to, raise this kid now because she's going to be the main parent in the household, right? And then that kid turns out to be a fucking serial killer or something. Are we going to blame the mother? Or are we going to blame the kid that turned out to be a serial killer? Where's the accountability then?
That's very often the weeds, essentially. I wasn't trying to talk about serial killers. Just talking about
it doesn't even need to be a serial killer. Just they turn out to be a shitty human, not productive society, just being an absolute asshole. And the mother raised him. So how come we don't hold the mothers accountable for that?
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I'm not saying we have. I don't think anyone has said the mothers are completely innocent in regards to it.
Funny, every time I've ever seen a problem child, everybody asks, where's his father? Because you're supposed to be responsible for disciplining this kid. Nobody ever says, where's the mother? Even though they're the ones, generally the ones raising these children. But as soon as something goes wrong, they ask where the father is. It's never the mother.
It is sometimes. And yeah, I was a stay-at-home parent too. For my first 4 years of my son's life, my stepdaughter, she was 18 months old when I met her mom. And she had postpartum issues and was postpartum depression, almost postpartum psychosis type of stuff after she had my son. And she did better working than she did staying at home. And I was still in the kitchen, so my income was less, and it just made more sense because she earned more. And she had no real bond with our son, no real maternal drive in that regard. So I stayed at home with the 2 kids for my first 4 years of my son's life. Then finally went back to work.
I'm reading Dawn's comments where she says, I don't think it's about getting paid to watch the kids. But think of this scenario. You're a home mom, your hubby cheats. Why shouldn't he pay for you to maintain your lifestyle? Anyone want to answer that? Or should I?
No, you go ahead.
So what I would say to that is, well, if he's cheating, he's most likely not happy and he wants a different lifestyle. Why should he now pay for you when he was unhappy in marriage for whatever reason? I'm not blaming anyone. Why should he pay?
Well, because he said, till death do us part, right?
He didn't leave the marriage. It's the woman that's leaving the marriage. He just cheated.
Well, yeah, but
it's grounds for divorce. Whether you're a secularist or you're a Christian, Bible-believing Christian, infidelity is grounds for divorce.
So if it's grounds for a divorce, then divorce me. Why must I pay for your lifestyle now? You decided that
because
happened,
you broke your vow.
Work it out.
You broke your vow.
I seem to remember those vows also saying, for better or worse. This is the worst part.
But there are exceptions to that, and guess what one of those exceptions are?
Are they in the vows, these exceptions?
Well, for secularists, this is going to be a totally different argument. If you're a Christian, then it's baked in. God has already said this is the way it is, unless they cheat. And typically, if that's the case, then yeah, a judge or someone there in the church will typically hold that man responsible for having broken his vow to God and the vow to his wife and his representation of the head of the family, the Christ head.
So because you stuck your dick in some other woman's hole, you're now financially responsible for this lady.
Sounds
that
good to
will
me.
also
Yeah.
go and sleep with other people, by the way, after you've separated. You are responsible now for funding her lifestyle, her Uber trips, her vacation to go bang other dudes. That doesn't sound right to me.
I'm all right with that. Yeah. Why not? You broke your vow. Don't put your dick in other women. Period. It's not that fucking hard. It's not like I'm asking you to do something that's impossible. All you got to do is nothing. When you have the urge to go put your dick in somebody else, just don't do it. Just do nothing. It's like the easiest thing in the fucking world is to do nothing. Don't act. That's all you got to do.
You are assuming, and you are assuming that everything at home is okay. That the wife isn't going through something.
Let's not assume it. Let's not. Let's assume every relationship has problems and issues and that they're never going to be a perfect relationship, and there's always issues at home. Doesn't matter.
So if the husband's needs aren't met physically, that's still grounds for him to that's still grounds for the lady to divorce him because he went and got his needs somewhere else?
Yes. Because that's two different things. Not having your needs met sucks. Going out, stepping outside of your marriage and putting your dick in a different woman other than your wife is grounds for divorce. Again, having the urge is one thing. At the end of the day, just don't fucking do anything. It's the easiest thing in the world to do nothing.
So is it also grounds for a divorce if the man's needs are not met and he says, look, I want a divorce because you're not sleeping with me?
Nope.
Why is that?
Why is what?
Well, why is that? Why is it not grounds for a divorce?
Why would it be grounds for? Because you're uncomfortable, because you're dissatisfied. You should be able to just completely abandon the vow that you took.
I'm saying one thing leads to the other.
No, it doesn't. Not if you don't do anything. If you sit on your hands and don't take action, it doesn't lead to the other.
So his job is to be constantly unhappy in his marriage.
What if he's just clinically depressed? What if she wants to suck him off every night, but he's still not happy and he's just clinically depressed? Then what? Is that grounds for divorce? Yeah.
But what happens if he's not clinically?
What if he stubbed his toe and she laughed at him? Is that grounds for divorce? He's really uncomfortable. He's really, really uncomfortable. His toe hurts bad, right? Shouldn't that just be grounds for divorce?
I think it should be grounds for a divorce if his needs are not being met then. If he's not going to stick his dick in some other woman, that should be listed as a grounds for divorce.
Oh, so is that only sexual needs, or is that going to be every single need that he thinks that should be fulfilled? He can just sit back. Maybe he doesn't want to go to work.
Well,
but they need money. They need money, Duma.
About sexual needs.
Make her ass get up and fucking go to work. Maybe he should just sit on his ass and do nothing and be fed grapes. And she has to go to work, earn the living, take care of the kids, and clean the house, and work like a slave. That way his needs are met. And if she doesn't act as his slave, that should be grounds for him to divorce her, because what? She's just lazy. She was a lazy slave and didn't meet my needs. I had needs that I thought should be met.
So now you're a slave.
Well, what if she has needs, Duma?
Simmer down now. Simmer down.
What if her needs don't overlap with your needs? Whose needs are more important?
Say that again, sorry?
What if her needs and your needs? What if her needs and your needs don't coincide? What if she needs to not have sex and you need to have sex?
All right.
Who gets the divorce?
If that's the case, then it should be grounds for a divorce. It's not going to work out.
So it shouldn't be grounds for divorce. Just because needs aren't being met wouldn't be grounds for a divorce, is all I'm saying.
He can go off and be happy, and she can go off and do whatever the fuck she wants. But he mustn't pay for it.
Well, again, if that's the basis of the divorce, then maybe he shouldn't be the one paying for it if she just decides that, you know what, I don't feel like my needs are being met. I don't feel like my husband makes me feel sexy enough, so I'm going to go fuck the neighbor. He wasn't meeting my needs, so... But it goes just the same way. Well, my wife wasn't making me feel sexy. I decided I needed a blowjob in the morning, a hand job at noon, and straight penetrative sex at night before I fall asleep. And she wasn't doing that. She wasn't meeting the needs that I told her I needed met. So because she wasn't a sex slave, I'm going to divorce her. And she just got to go out there and be on her own.
You know, the wording itself is very troubling. The fact that you, as a wife, having to sleep with your husband is viewed as now a sex slave is really troubling.
Well, it's only at his whims, though, right? The focus of this is her meeting his needs.
Well, this is the thing then.
So anytime he decides, whatever he decides he needs, it's going to be her obligation to meet, or
see what everybody eats.
Or maybe divorce should be very limiting, maybe because you took a vow for the rest of your life to a woman and to God to be together until you die, that it's going to be relatively difficult, not impossible, but difficult to end that marriage. There are circumstances that would negate that marriage now, because like the dude says, well, I was getting my blowjob in the morning and my hand job at night, but on Wednesdays, she wouldn't give me penetrative sex before I went to sleep, and my needs weren't being met, so now I want a divorce. No, you wouldn't get the divorce. That wouldn't be grounds for divorce in the eyes of God.
You're downplaying how physical intimacy is important to men in any marriage. Just
no,
because
I'm not.
The wife, I think you are. Just because the wife doesn't feel like it because she's going through something or whatever, if it's in a prolonged period of time and they're not having intimacy and the guy now steps out, I'm not saying he should have stepped out, but that's the reason he stepped out.
Oh, sure.
Imagine if he
I mean, totally. Like if she gets cancer and is sick and he gets horny, you could totally come up with reasons. Yeah, that's why. I know why. I'm a man. I know why dudes step out.
They are providing, so I'm going to just chill here. Like the wife is chilling here because she doesn't feel like fucking her husband.
Or maybe like she puts out quite a bit, but it's all kind of boring, lame missionary stuff, and you're into some really wild, kinky stuff. So like, it's not that you're not getting your rocks off. You're just not getting your rocks off the way that you prefer.
Yeah, no, that's not what I mean.
Oh, well, then what do you say? So if, like, he wants the BJ, the HJ, and penetrative sex 3 times a day, and she doesn't do the HJ at lunchtime, like, well, look, dudes have needs that are met. Dude, we're just dudes, right? You know, you're downplaying the need of my hand job at lunch. And if she doesn't give me my hand job at lunch, then she's not meeting my needs sexually. And by God, she's got a timer. The clock is ticking, bitch. You better figure out how to give me a hand job at lunch, whether you like it or not, or you're out on the streets.
You're going to the extremes. I'm talking about generally.
We were testing your logic. Yeah, we can go to the extremes just as a way to test your logic, because if it doesn't work there, then it shouldn't work in the
logic by saying something that's nuanced to each flipping couple. We're talking about generally. We are leading from one thing to the next. Why he cheated? Because his needs were not being met. So I said the same thing. I said, well, what happens if the guy decides, well, I'm fucking depressed like my wife, and I've decided that I'm not going to go to work or provide because I don't fucking feel like it. I'm depressed. And then the family doesn't eat and the bills don't get paid. Somebody would judge that man harshly.
Sure.
Why is it that when a woman decides, oh, well, I don't fucking feel like it, and his needs are not met in a prolonged period of time? I'm not saying, women give birth and they have this post-traumatic, whatever thing it's called, and they don't feel like having sex and they're depressed or whatever. I get that. I'm talking about people who have been married and they haven't had sex for years, and then you get shocked that the guy's gone out and decided to fucking cheat. Physical intimacy is important to a guy.
I think physical intimacy is important to a woman as well. And I'll tell you this much. If a woman hasn't had sex with her husband for years and years and years, I don't know that that's necessarily like it takes two to not tango as well. Like maybe she's just not that into you. It's like it's not that she doesn't want sex. She just doesn't want sex with her husband. There's something about him that has made it that she doesn't want to have sex with you, because I guarantee you when she would run across someone she does want to have sex with, she will want to have sex with them.
Okay, with what you just said, remember how this started. It was about who's paying when the relationship ends and why it ends.
That's right.
That's how this whole thing started.
Yes.
You said cheating is grounds for a divorce. I agree with you.
Yes.
It is a grounds for divorce. But also lack of physical intimacy in your marriage should be grounds for divorce as well.
So after what? After a week or 10 years?
Well, it'll depend on each couple. But if it's a prolonged period of time, like if you went to court and I said, listen, judge, I haven't had sex.
So it's completely arbitrary is what you're saying. It's going to depend on each couple. Maybe it will be a week, or arbitrarily it might be 10 years. Maybe after a week, guy says, nope, I didn't get the kind of physical intimacy I wanted. But in this relationship,
I think
it gets a divorce. Maybe not in the other one. Maybe not. Nope, sorry.
I think it should be within reason.
Whose?
Well, whoever the presiding officer is.
So the judge, right? So then it would just be baked into the law, right? Providing we're secularists and not relying on God and the church and the Bible.
Hence why I said it should be grounds for a divorce. I don't know if it is. I doubt it is.
Well, I don't think if you're a secularist, you should be getting married at all. There's no reason to get married if you're not getting married in the eyes of God. But what's the fucking point? Like, there's nothing you can achieve as a secularist of being together in a committed relationship for life that you can't achieve as a Christian getting married in the eyes of God. There's nothing more you're going to gain except liability from a wife who's going to decide that because of no-fault divorce and you don't make her feel sexy enough that she's just going to decide that she's going to end the marriage, and now you have to pay for this child because your wife didn't feel sexy. If you're a secularist, there's no need to get married. There's just no point. It is such a financial liability for men. There would be no real reason to do it.
You see, I'm talking about things like alimony, not for a child. I mean, child belongs to both of you. Well, if you now leave the home, you have to pay for the child. I'm talking about alimony.
Alimony is getting to be less and less these days because, men and women are equal. So it is trending that way, at least here in the U.S. I think alimony is a lot harder to get. But here it is that at least in America, far and away, it's the woman that will get the divorce. A majority of divorces are initiated by the women, not the man. And that's because of the no-fault divorce, because there doesn't need to be any reason whatsoever. It wasn't that long ago there actually had to be a reason. And if there was no reason, if the woman just didn't feel sexy and the woman stepped out, that wasn't grounds for divorce. You couldn't just get a divorce. The answer is no. You have to stay married.
Well, thank you all for being here.
Oh, shit.
Luca,
Look at that.
Andrew, and I think Craig. Yeah, Craig. What's up, Craig?
Love y'all.
All right, guys. Love y'all so much.
Man.
Thank you
God,
all.
I hate when mom and dad fight.
Oh, we don't fight. Yeah, we love you guys. Sorry that went long.
Love you guys.
Boy.
But we will see you back here on Wednesday morning, provided I don't sleep in, for more of the Ironworks. So make sure you guys have a great rest of your week. Be good, be well, do good, do it well. We love you. Yeah, that's pretty deep for a Monday. Much love, Dawn. I see you there. Bye-bye.